We're going to be covering the PLINE command. Honestly, the PLINE command is one of my favourite commands and it's one of my most essential commands. It's mystery options. We're going to be covering what it can do and what it can't do and everything in between. And I'm going to throw in a free UCS guide for you to use the PLINE command also. So let's go. Now the polyline command. This can be accessed two ways within AutoCAD. Method number one is the Home tab, Drawing panel, and then the Polyline command. You can left click to activate it. I'm going to exit this. Another way is simply typing on your keyboard PLINE, PLINE, and it comes up there. You can left click this option. Either way, you're going to end up at this same point here. Now once the command is activated, it's going to ask you to specify a start point. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. One way is you can type a coordinate in your Y and X axes. This is where this 2D UCS key comes into play. And as you can see, if you're typing in a plus Y and plus X, you're going to be drawing something more towards the upper right, or if it's on minus X and minus Y, it's going to be towards the lower left. Most importantly, it gives you an understanding of where you're drawing within AutoCAD when using coordinates. So for me, I'm going to type 50, 55 and then press enter. Now if I zoom in, what that has done is this has created a point on my axes within AutoCAD. So a plus Y coordinate and a plus X coordinate effectively. Now I'm going to come out of this, press escape. I'm going to go back into my PLINE command. Another way you can specify a starting point within AutoCAD is by clicking a random point with your mouse, simply dragging your mouse and left clicking a random point within AutoCAD as well. So the next thing it's going to ask you for in the command line is to specify a next point, and this is the same as what we've just done, it's just a repeat. So you can click or type in a coordinate again. So I'm going to type in 80, 90, press enter, or you can click a random point within your drawing just like before. I'm going to exit this, press escape. So you can also specify a point within your PLINE command dependent upon your object snapping and what you have turned on and off. If I turn everything off and just leave my midpoint, I can now click my midpoint and use that as a reference, my start point and my end point. So that's another way of selecting points within your PLINE. It's dependent upon your object snapping and what you have on and off. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to activate my PLINE command. Now once I've determined my first point, as you can see in my command line down below, there's options. Now the first option is arc, and this can be activated by either left clicking the option in the command line or alternatively typing A on my keyboard and pressing enter. So what this does, as you can guess, it turns my PLINE into an arc. So instead of a straight line, it changes it now into an arc. Now it's still going to ask me to specify a second point. So again, we can type a coordinate or left click a random point. So a function within the PLINE which I really like is that you can switch back now, even though I've just drawn the arc, you can switch back to a line. And you can do this by clicking the line option in the command line below, or typing L on your keyboard. So you can switch back and forth from arc to PLINE, and this allows you to create unique shapes within AutoCAD. So I'm going to click a random point. So another feature within the PLINE command is close. If I was to type C on my keyboard or click it down below within my command line, it would close my shape using an arc. So like this, for example, if I was to type L to change my arc into line, L, press enter. Now if I type C or click it within the command line down below, it now closes my polyline to create a full shape, and it closes to the first point that you specified within your PLINE, and this creates one complete polyline. I'm going to go back to the PLINE command. I'm going to click a random point to specify my first point. So as you can see in the command line, there's a half width option, and I can left click this to activate it. So as you can see in the command line, it says specify starting half width. So I'm going to type 40, press enter, and it now says specify end half width. So I'm going to put that as 40 also. I'm just going to left click a random point to finish off my P-line. So what this half width has done is added a width to my line of 40 from the midpoint of my line downwards. So only from the midpoint downwards. So if I was to measure from the midpoint of my line down to the bottom, it would be a distance of 40. So this half width option is very similar to the width option within the P-line. The only difference being that the half width is from the middle of your line downwards, whereas the width option is the full width of your line. So they both act in the same way in that you specify the width that you want. The only difference is that one is the half width and one is the overall width of your P-line. I'm going to bring back up my P-line and I want to change the width, so I'm going to type width, or left click it, option within my command line. I'm going to type 0 and press enter, and this brings my line back to its default weight. I'm going to bring back up my PLINE command and I'm going to go to the length option. The length option has two different features within itself. Now option number 1, so if I click a random point and create a line, and now I'll click my length option or type L on my keyboard. Now within the command line, it's asking me to specify length of line. So I can type a length to be added onto the top of this line. So let's say I'll type 50 and press enter. Now I'm going to press escape. Now if I click my line, it's created an additional length to my line, length of 50. And this is one feature within the length command. It allows you to add extra length to polyline that you've created. And as you can see, everything's in line, so it's like one continuous line. I'm now going to go back into my PLINE command. I'm going to show you a second function within the length option. Left click length. And now once again it says specify length of a line. So I'm going to type 150 and press enter. Now I'm going to press escape to come out of my PLINE command. So as you can see, the line I just created using the length option is in line with the first P-line. So this is what the length function within the P-line allows you to do. So I drew this first line at a random angle. Bear in mind that my ortho mode and polar tracking are not on. So in other words, I'm not referencing a set angle. So if I place them on top of each other, you can see they are exactly the same angle. They're the same line effectively, both referencing the same exact angle. So as I go back into the polyline command, the last option is undo. This one always comes in handy when using the PLINE command. I'm going to be left clicking random points. So let's say I was going to finish off my shape here, for example, and left click. But let's say I made a mistake and I accidentally left clicked my mouse here. So instead of me redoing this whole shape, what I can do is type U on my keyboard and undo my last point that I selected. And I can finish off my shape by just left clicking. So let's say I want to go back a couple more steps. I can just type U and press enter on my keyboard, and I can keep on doing this until I get back all the way to the first point I selected within my PLINE command. Please drop any comments of any CAD videos or related topics you want me to cover moving forward. All the best.